Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Ashes to ashes, we're falling down. Slaves to the men that stole the crown. There's a warning sign, like a blazing sun. You don't want to see because you're having fun. But those who control all the information celebrate and lie to the people to keep them watching.
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And yes, I realize that I don't necessarily talk about philosophy or political ideology a lot on this show anymore. Although it certainly does come up during the Ask Me Anything. And there are times when I get off on tangents and I will bring up philosophy. But again, if you are new to the show, I forget who the author of this hit piece article was, but he came up with the term. Darryl Perry, who is the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, advocated for blah, blah, blah. And yes, I did, in the presidential campaign, advocate for 100% maximum freedom and not having government interfere in people's lives. And, well, if you think that that's, the cocaine of libertarianism, you're damn straight, because I take libertarian ideology to its logical conclusion. But what I've been doing with the show for a little over a year now is focusing more on, interpersonal growth, personal growth, interpersonal relationships, becoming a better person, becoming a better version of yourself, and again, how to sort of form these actual meaningful relationships with other people and being happy with who you are. Now, something that some people struggle with and other people do not is friendship. And I know you might be thinking, how does somebody struggle with friendship? Well, there are some people that will have a lot of acquaintances, but not a lot of friends. And other people will have a lot of friends and not a lot of acquaintances, or they'll have, a very tight-knit group of friends, and then everybody else can just sort of, go screw themselves. I fall into I have a lot of acquaintances. There's not a lot of people that I would actually consider to be my friend. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of an a-hole thing. No, it's not. Because when I use the term friend, I'm talking about, somebody that I'm willing to, share deep, dark secret. Not that I have any deep, dark secrets, or hell, I share my fears and desires with everybody, but really I think that when you think of friend, who's the person that if you need $5, you're starving and you need to borrow $5, or you need to borrow $100 to make a car payment or whatever, you're not going to go ask an acquaintance. You're going to ask a friend. And I think that in, this social network interconnected, I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. No, the hell you don't. You've got a bunch of damn acquaintances. Those people are not your friends. So I pulled up the dictionary definition of friend. Friend is a person who you like and enjoy being with. That could also describe an acquaintance. A friend is also a person who helps or supports someone or something, such as a cause or a charity. Another definition, a person whom one knows and with whom one has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of sexual or family relation. So someone that you have this strong bond with, that's a friend. An acquaintance is somebody that you recognize, you'll exchange pleasantries, but otherwise there's not that sort of bond that keeps you together. It's more akin to you just happen to be walking down the same sidewalk going in the same direction, but you're not there purposefully. And the reason that I mention all of this is, well, I had this article come across my virtual desk earlier. Scientists explain why smart people prefer having fewer friends. Yes, you heard that right. Smart people actually prefer to have fewer friends. Now, why is that so? Well, let me just jump into the article. Many of us have pondered at one time or another what makes a life well lived. Is it being surrounded by family and a lot of friends? Could it be being surrounded by a select handful of people in your life? Have you ever observed that really smart people in your life and the friends they surround themselves with? What about how many friends they choose to surround themselves with? It turns out that smarter people prefer having fewer friends, and here's why. What would make most people happy? New research published by the British Journal of Psychology digs into the questions of what exactly defines a life well lived. Turns out the hunter-gatherer lifestyle of our ancestors formed the foundation of what makes us happy now. The research surveyed approximately 15,000 people between the ages of 18 to 28, and the research found that people living in densely populated areas reported less satisfaction with their quality of life. The next finding of the people polled suggests that the more frequent social interactions with close friends, a person has greatly improved self-reported happiness. Smart people, however, are the exception. However, there is an exception for those with higher intelligence quotients, IQ, if you will. These correlations drastically diminished, and I will tell you what the researchers found out here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs, with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to ZOG.Ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, ZOG.Ninja, code FPP.
This is Jeremy Scott, host of Dark 30. You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Now, I want to tell you something that smart people do. Smart people try to find ways to save money. And one way that you can do that, because, well, first off, you're listening to this show, so I know you're no dum-dum, which means you probably want to save some money, right? Well, go over to savewithpurse.com. That's savewithpurse.com. Now, some people would say, the catch is you gotta use Bitcoin. But I look at it and say, the benefit is you get to use Bitcoin and you get to save 10, 15, 20, 25% or more on things that you're going to buy anyway from Amazon. So what you do, go to savewithpurse.com, sign up. Then go to Amazon, add things into an Amazon wish list. Put that wish list into your Purse account, and then you fund the account with Bitcoin, and you set the discount. You can get 5% instantly. You can get a guaranteed 24-hour buy at 10%. I generally get things picked up within a day at 15 to 25. What I'll do, I'll start it out at 25. If nobody bites and picks it up, I'll drop it down to 20% after a day. If nobody bites then, and generally they do, I'll drop it down to 15, and it generally gets picked up within a couple hours after that. But if you don't want to play the waiting game, just do the 5% instant savings. SaveWithPurse.com. Now, jumping back into the article about smart people being the exception to having frequent social interactions bringing happiness. The article comes from lifehack.org, and they're reporting on a study that was done by the British Journal of Psychology, where they researched and studied 15,000 people, or rather they surveyed 15,000 people between the ages of 18 to 28. The overall numbers of those groups found that people that had more frequent social interactions with close friends said that they had a greater self-reported happiness. However, there is an exception. For those with higher IQs, these correlations drastically diminished. The report said the effect of population density on life satisfaction was therefore more than twice as large for low IQ individuals. So the more intelligent you are, the less satisfied you are with a life, or rather with your life, if you socialize with friends more frequently. But why? Well, smart people tend to be focused on long-term objectives. And this ties into another article that I hopefully will be able to jump into, 7 reasons why it's harder for more intelligent people to find love. And again, I think there's a lot of overlap between why smart people prefer fewer friends and why it's harder for smart people to find that loving, lasting relationship. Again, smart people tend to be focused on long-term objectives. People with higher IQs and the capacity to use their intelligence are less likely to spend time socializing. That's because intelligent people are focused on long-term objectives. They're compelled and maybe a bit more driven to use their intelligence to create something bigger than themselves. For example, think of someone you know who went to grad school or started their own business. While pursuing their ambition and goals, they had to minimize social interactions to stay on task to achieve their goal. An intelligent person on the pursuit of achieving something bigger and better than themselves may deem social interactions as a distraction that pulls them away from long-term objectives, which in turn may affect their overall well-being. When pursuing these long-term objectives, the smarter individuals would rather stay home and work towards their dreams and ambitions rather than going out on a Saturday night with a few friends. It's not that they don't value friendship. They do, but when they're on the prowl of achieving greatness, they may deem social interactions to be a distraction. Next, they say smart people develop differently during evolution of the human brain. The human brain has evolved to meet the demands of our ancestral environment in the savanna. Population density was low, and we subsisted by living a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. During these times, having frequent contact with lifelong friends was necessary for our survival and for further reproduction of our species. Propelling us to today, our life has changed drastically, and so have our interactions with one another. Intelligent people may be better able to deal with the new challenges that modern life throws at us, meaning intelligent people have a better ability to solve evolutionary and new problems and have an easier time coping and dealing with new situations. When you're smarter, you're then better able to adapt to new things and have an easier time merging your ancestral predispositions with the modern world. They say here that living in a high population area may have a smaller effect on your well-being, but it may be due to being better able to jettison the hunter-gatherer need to socialize when you're pursuing your dreams and ambitions. And that actually, let me try to translate all of what that said. In the hunter-gatherer lifestyle, people didn't really interact a lot. They did so when it was necessary. And you may have heard that term is part of government, necessary and proper. Well, that's kind of when, intelligent people go out and socialize when it's necessary and proper for the furtherance of either one of their goals or the human species. So, a lot of times I do tend to stay to myself. I have a couple of friends that I go hang out with one night a week because it's the night that, I'm not on the radio, or rather it's one of the nights that I'm not on the radio, and it's like the night that I generally don't have other things planned or nothing, that I think is going to wind up happening. So it's become sort of a custom of Tuesday nights. I go hang out with Becca and Howie. They're really cool people, and I like seeing them. And it also changes it up to where I'm not, doing something work-related in some kind of way. There's a little bit more from this article about why smarter people actually prefer to have fewer friends, and then maybe I'll get into why it's harder for smart people to find love.
When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry. And, one thing that I often hear other podcasters talk about, but I almost never mention, is iTunes. Now, I know that, apparently, iTunes is a very popular delivery method that a lot of people use to wind up getting their podcast fed to them. And apparently, having more reviews on iTunes is something that is very desirable. I've never used iTunes. I actually can't use iTunes because I don't use Windows or Mac. And, well, there's not an iTunes player for Linux. And I also looked on my phone, and there's not an iTunes anything for Android phones. Meaning that I cannot use iTunes at all. But if you do, then, leave a review. I probably won't be able to see it because, again, I don't use iTunes, so I don't know how I would be able to see it. But maybe, somebody can tell me how I can do that. But, apparently that's something, again, that it's a popular delivery method for catching podcasts, and the more reviews you get, then the higher in the results that iTunes says you are. But if you want to find the various methods to where you can listen to the show, go to listen.fppradio.com, and I have a fairly lengthy list of here's all the radio affiliates or the internet radio affiliates that I'm aware of. And there actually are a few broadcast radio affiliates. Generally, those are ones that just carry the Liberty Radio Network or one of the other internet radio affiliates. And then there's also the various places like TuneIn and iHeartRadio. So I would much prefer, if you're going to leave a review somewhere, try to leave a review on either TuneIn or iHeartRadio. I know some people say, Stitcher, but again, I don't know how many people actually listen on Stitcher. But if you're listening, however it is, I thank you for doing so. And again, you're listening to this show, which means you're probably not a dum-dum, which means that you probably fit into this article here, and you probably relate in a lot of ways. This is talking about a survey that was done of 15,000 people by the British Journal of Psychology, and they were asking people about quality of life and happiness and friendship, etc. And, well, scientists actually noticed that there was, sort of a trend that more intelligent people had fewer friends, and they're explaining why intelligent people actually prefer to have fewer friends. Getting back into the article, and as always, it will be in the show notes, so you can read this at your leisure if you so desire. Smart people value relationships in a different way. Intelligent people do value friendship and relationships just like anyone else, but they tend to be more selective with how they spend their time. It isn't that they don't cherish friendships and frequent socialization, but they also cherish their own personal pursuits. And that is the end of this article, which means that, yes, I will have time to jump into the article about why it is harder for intelligent people to find love. Again, this comes from lifehack.org, and they say love does not come easy for smart people, and here's 7 reasons why. We don't consider romantic relationships to be a top priority. That is the wording they used, and I would say that on the one hand, I kind of don't view it as a top priority. It's certainly in probably like the top 15 things, but it's not the thing of, I must find a relationship. No, I've got, other things. And, dating is largely a waste of time. And I know that, that sounds like I'm just complaining, oh, well, you've just had bad experience. Yeah, probably. I have. But, if I'm going to waste my time, I would rather waste my time on something where I'm not just buying somebody a meal and having crappy conversation about, stupid stuff that I really don't care about. I could not tell you the last time I had an actual date. It's probably been well over a year. Now, I, have had interactions with females in, recent months, but it certainly was not a, quote-unquote date. There was no buying of dinner. There wasn't, let's go meet at a restaurant and have dinner and, whatnot. But I'm not going to get into the details. You are smart enough to where you can, add 1 + 1 and figure it out. But, yeah, I've got better things to do. So, I can work on one of the many projects that I'm doing. I can just do any number of things other than go to a bar and try to pick up some chick. Got better things to do than that. But they continue. To intelligent people, life is full of all kinds of possibilities, and we often have great ideas to put into practice. We tend to spend more time and effort on our work, but not just on romantic relationships. We're more about brains than beauty, and I'll go into that and the other reasons why it is that intelligent people have a harder time finding love. Here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. Here in the closing moments, I will continue this article and do my best to wind up finishing the article. 7 reasons why it's harder for smart people to find love. Number 1 on the list, they say smart people don't consider relationships to be a top priority, would much rather focus on work. And I completely agree. As I said, without completely rehashing, I find dating to be largely a waste of time. And I wish that it were easier, but it's not. Number 2, they say smart people are more about brains than beauty. While not always the case, we tend to be more attractive on the inside than the out. Generally speaking, smart people have hidden beauty, and it takes a special person to appreciate and acknowledge it. We consider our intelligence its own reward. Being smart gives us self-fulfillment that takes the place of a need to be fulfilled in a relationship. For some people, we get our greatest fulfillment from our achievements. And on the one hand, I would say yes, but at the same time, it seems, at least for me, it seems that no matter what I have achieved, it's never necessarily enough. I always need to achieve something else. Well, yeah, sure, I did this and this and this and this and this, but I need to achieve something else. That's all not good enough. And I don't necessarily know why that is, but I know that there are other people that struggle with that same thing. Number 4 on the list of 7 reasons it's more difficult for smarter people to find love. They say we dig deep. This can be a difficult thing when it comes to dating. We tend to dig deep into a person's soul to ascertain the level of interest and commitment. We don't dance around issues. We confront problems in a relationship with the confidence that we are in the right. Some people don't like that. We're smart and we know what is right and we know what is wrong, and we don't mind letting you know what is wrong with the relationship. Number 6, it's difficult to understand us at times, and that's because, we're kind of complex, right? And number 7, and this one definitely hits home, even though we're smart, sometimes we can be a little dense. They say here we often miss subtle clues. Our focus is on the larger things. Therefore, we often miss the subtle hints of interest from other people. We don't aim to offend. We just don't notice, i.e., we're a little dense. If you like us, you need to tell us. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Don't forget, every Wednesday I answer your questions. Send those over.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.